And we are going to basically look at how to do a trace bitmap and create some characters by stealing some ClipArt. First I want to show you quickly why we're going to use ClipArt. I'm just going to go over, so I've just done a image search for dog. By the way, there are tools and you can select the size of the image that you want. I just left it in any size right now. And let's just say I thought maybe this dog would be good to use right here, and so I'm going to right click and say copy image. I'm going to go over to the Animate program, I'm going to paste this image, and there's the dog. But this is why we don't use photographs, right? So this dog is here, and if I got this white background and I say I want to use the eraser tool and I want to try to erase things, but you can't because it is a bitmap image, right? So we have to do a trace bitmap. Alright, so if I trace bitmap this dog, modify, bitmap, trace bitmap, well, I don't have it selected. That's why I'm getting it. Now it's selected. Modify, bitmap, trace bitmap. With a photograph, it's going to take a little while to do it, and what's going to happen is that I really get a lot of information here because every color is going to get traced as its own shape, and it's going to be very problematic to work with. So we don't want to work with photographs. So let me undo a couple of times here, and then just going to delete this. By the way, take a look over in my library here. If I paste something into the Animate program, it keeps it in the library even though I delete it off of the stage. So you want to do dog ClipArt, okay? And then look for the thing that you're going to trace and cut into parts. I have brought in 3 different ones because I want to show you 3 different things that you might encounter. So let's start with this guy here. So I drag this dog in, and one, I might say it's a little bit too large for my scene, so I'm going to use my scale tool, hold my shift button down, scale it down so it fits. Okay, and notice something about this is it's got this gray and white checkerboard, which normally in the world of Photoshop that would mean it was on transparency, but here it doesn't. And if I do a trace bitmap, I'm going to get all those little gray and white areas, okay, which I'm going to show you right now. So I'm going to go to modify, bitmap, trace bitmap. I'm just using the defaults here. It gives decent enough, and you'll see like all these are these individual shapes of gray and white, which is kind of a problem. Okay. The other thing I want to show you is I'm going to go into properties and I'm going to click on my background and I'm going to make my stage a different color so that it makes it really kind of obvious for me to see what of the stuff that I need to delete. Right? So see how I'm getting all these weird bits. Okay. So one way around that would be, I'm just going to select all this, hit delete, go back to my library. This is my dog. I could take this, I could do Command X, I'm going to cut it, I'm going to go over to Photoshop, File, New, from the clipboard, create, Command V, and paste. Take my wand, and with my magic wand, I can quickly get all of that, because it's so close, the gray and white is so close in color, I can get it all. Inverse, now I'm going to select the inverse, and Command X, and so that's cut, and Command V back here. Now notice it's got nothing there. Bitmap, trace bitmap, and now I have a much simpler thing to work with. And I could begin cutting this dog up into parts, right? So if I was going to cut up the tail, I'm going to select this tail, separate that out, modify, convert to symbol, okay? And this is going to be tail. Once it's there, I can see it in my library. I'm going to delete it because everything has to go on its own layer eventually anyway. So I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to say I'm going to take his head because I'm going to move his head around, modify, convert to symbol, head, say OK. I see it here in my library, delete it. Okay, and I would continue doing that with the rest of these parts. But I'm just going to do this as body, because maybe I just want the head and tail to move. It's possible. And I'm going to convert to symbol, and I'll call this dog body 1. Alright, I'm going to delete it. I can see it. So let's take another couple looks at things. Here is another dog, and hold my shift button down. And let's do modify bitmap trace bitmap, and I lost some detail. Okay, I'm going to undo. So if I'm going to go to modify bitmap trace bitmap, hopefully I can make some adjustments, and I'm going to just say a curve fit, let's say very tight, and see if that does it. I got a little bit more eyeball information, but not quite enough. So I'm going to make this a color threshold of, let's say 10. It's having a hard time getting these details. That was a little bit better. Sometimes what's best, yeah, that worked out pretty well. Sometimes you just have to pick a better image, you know. I mean, it's just like how it is. There, I'm going to delete that. And now you can see that there's definitely some stuff along the edges that probably should get deleted. If I just click on it, I can select it and delete it, right? And I would go through and clean that up. Alright, so there's that dog. And I'm just going to move him off to the side so that I can show you this other dog here, my last one. This guy comes in, so he was found on the internet and he came in without a background already. Does that mean you don't have to trace him? No, you still have to trace him. Modify bitmap trace bitmap, and I'm going to go back to my defaults here. Alright, and now there he is, and because he didn't have any background, there's no background to get rid of, which is really handy. So maybe I want to make him have floppy ears, so I'm going to go modify, convert to symbol. I'll say this is ear left side of his head, ear left. I'm going to delete that, and then this is modify, convert to symbol, ear right. Okay, delete that, and we'll make his tail wag as well. Modify bitmap, or no, I'm sorry, convert to symbol, modify, convert to symbol, tail, and say OK. Look at that, the name tail is already taken. Please use a different name. Right, I already named that other dog's tail that, so I can't use that. So I can just say tail 2. Alright, I'll say OK, and then delete that off the stage. This dog over here, I'm going to just turn him entirely into a symbol, modify, and convert to symbol. And I'm just going to name him, he's like a golden retriever. I'll name him Goldie, and say OK, and delete Goldie. Alright, and now I'm left with this cute little dog here. I'm going to take the whole body, modify, convert to symbol, and this will be cute dog. Cute dog. Alright, so now we are ready to animate this dog. So I just moved him down the scene, and so we're going to have him have some floppy ears. So I need some layers. I'm going to need 3 layers, 2 ears and a tail. Alright, so I already know that. Layer 1 is his body. Alright, layer 2, I'm going to go find the left ear, drag that over here. Layer 3, go find the ear on the right. on layer 4, go find the tail. Wrong tail. Alright, so there's tail. So look, there's some parts, there's some things that are not clean that we need to fix up. Alright, so we'll discover that momentarily. So if I'm gonna make this stuff animate, one, if I go to my transform tool, free transform tool, and I rotate this tail, we'll notice that it's rotating around its center point. I don't want it to rotate from there. I want it to rotate from the dog's butt, because that's where the dog's tail is attached. So I just grabbed it and then moved it. That is much better. Very good. Alright, I'm going to move it down into that position to start. Okay? This ear, same thing. I don't want it to rotate from the center. I want it to rotate from the dog's head. So I'm going to move it over here, and I'm going to rotate it up. I'm going to start this ear, and we can see there might be some problems. Actually, I'll start this ear down a little bit farther down, and I'll move my center point, and then move this ear a little farther up. That way they're a little bit more extreme. Now this ear, it would be better if it moved and rotated behind the head, right? If we look at it, see it's in front. So let's just drag it behind the body. And so now when it flops, it'll be behind the head. But let's see a couple of things. We have some broken areas. We're going to fix that. I'm going to double click in here. And I'm going to get my paintbrush. I'm going to come over here and grab a color. And I'm just going to kind of like make a little extension onto this. And I'm going to jump out there. So now when I move that, when I rotate that ear, it won't have a gap. I'm going to do the same to this guy. I'm going to jump inside, and I'm just going to make a little extension to the floppy ear. Now you could spend time coloring it a little better if it matters to you, but for what we're doing, it's not going to matter. The tail, I got an extra little bit in there that I don't want, so I'm going to delete that. And then I need an extension on the tail. So same way I did it for the ears. I mean, it's convenient that the colors are about the same, or I could, if I come here, I can come out and get an eyedropper and then pick something that's relatively the same. Alright, so something like that. Something I'm noticing is that it's a little transparent, so let's just kind of fix that. There. Alright. There we go. Alright, now we're ready to do some animation. I'm just going to do it's going to be a little flip-flop cycle here. So I'm going to say insert frame, and then I'm just going to select all this and say create a motion tween. At frame 10, I'm going to do a little reverse motion on all of these. So the tail is going to go up, this ear will go up, this ear will go down. Okay, and then at frame 20, I want it to go back to what's frame. So I want it to go back to this frame. So I'm actually going to go here, I'm going to right click, say copy. I don't want to copy the motion. Let's see here. That's the whole motion. I don't want that. Copy properties. Paste properties. Come back to this one. Right click. Copy properties. You have to make sure you get only one frame selected. If you get more than one frame selected, it causes a problem. Like this. It doesn't give you the option because I want just one frame. Copy properties. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain. Paste properties. Alright, so then there we got a little flip flop here, and if I play it, there he goes. He's a happy little puppy flipping and flopping. Alright, so that is how we're going to deal with ClipArt in the Animate program.